You'll need out your Algebra 1 EOC review booklet for today. We're reviewing Category 1. The first topic we're going to look at is going to be domain and range in Category 1. So the first thing we need to do is define domain and range. So we know domain is the set of all possible x values, and we know the x values travel from left to right. From left to right. And our range is all possible y values. And the y values, the vertical y-axis travels from the bottom to the top. So we're going to look at a couple examples. The first one is this line segment on this first graph. So if I want to define all possible x values or domain, I would start to the left and ask myself, when do I run into my first x value? And it looks like my first x value occurs at -6. And at -6, it equals because it's a closed circle. So we would say x values need to be greater than or equal to -6. But they stop at +8. And that's an open circle, so we simply say less than 8. For the range, again, we're looking from bottom to the top. So as I work my way up, looks like my first y value occurs down at -3. So y values start at -3, and they travel up to +5. And I notice at +5, they equal, once again, because of the closed circle. So I will say less than or equal to +5. But they were greater than -3. We're going to jump over the parabola and go right to this bubble map. On the bubble mapping, we have a set of inputs or x values that are mapped to a set of y values or outputs. I'm going to transfer these from a bubble mapping into ordered pairs. So if you give me -2, I will map you to the output -1. If you put +3 into the function, we can map it to 0. If you put 4 into the function, it maps to 0. Or 4 also maps to 2, and 4 maps to 4. So right there, I know that this is not a function because, once again, 4 is mapping to 3 different outputs. It's that bus example we looked at. The same person can't get off at 3 different bus stops. And lastly, we have 10 maps to +6. So if I'm going to list the domain, all possible x values, I'm going to order these as a set of numbers and order these from least to greatest. So my domain would be -2, 3, 4, and 10. Even though 4 occurred 3 different times, if I'm defining all x values, I can just list it once. And lastly, the range, all y values. I'm going to highlight these in blue. And from least to greatest, we would have -1, 0, 2, 4, and 6. Those are all possible y values. The last two is a set of ordered pairs in a table. Take the bubble mapping example, and you can complete those on your own. The only thing I want to say about the exponential graph that we just recently studied, on these exponentials, the function is decreasing, going down from left to right, but this function will never touch when y is 0. It gets really, really close to 0, so that will affect your range. We need to think about y values are going to be greater than 0.